Hi everybody, welcome back to a live session here with me, Fred Dancer. Fred Dancer is me. I'm a Senior Technical Advisor at Puratos. Today we're going to be making crusty dinner rolls using three very unique products of ours: the Authentic Origin, Soft Grain, Amber Grain, Clean Label, and our Intense Fresh 230. The Authentic, as we all know, is an innovative product that gives flavor and texture to the breads. It's an all-inclusive type of product where you just add salt, water, authentic, and flour. Yeah, I guess you need flour. So, that being said, before we were doing other ones with the Authentic Durum, today we're going to use the Authentic Origin. Yeah, the Authentic Origin is a different flavor profile than the Authentic Durum. It's based on wheat and rye, so it gives you some more of a fruity note from the rye sourdough that's in it. The Soft Grain, Amber Grain, Clean Label is a cooked and soaked grain in one of our saporis, also a rye-based sapori, giving it very nice notes. And the innovative part of our soft grain is it's cooked and soaked in our sourdough. That being said, if you've ever used dry grains and you find that your bread gets a little dried out by the next day or whatever, it's probably because the moisture is being sucked out of your bread into the grains, because your grains need moisture to get soft. Plus you get those really hard bits. With the soft grain, it's already cooked and soaked, so it actually has the opposite effect, where it actually might give you a little bit more shelf life, a little bit more, because the bread will stay moister. And our Intense Fresh 230 is a shelf life extender enzyme, which is, I kind of add to everything to give you a little bit of that insurance in case you want to keep it for a couple days. Everything I'm using here is Clean Label today, which is good. And going into the recipe, it's flour, 80% flour, 20% whole wheat, so a little bit of oil, salt, the Amber Grain Clean Label, the Authentic Origin, and the Intense Fresh 230, and water, of course. So get started mixing. Everything gets put together into the mixing bowl. Everything gets mixed to full development. After it's mixed, bring it over to your bench or wherever. They're going to be 2-ounce pieces, so if you don't have a rounder divider, you have to scale off 2-ounce pieces, which can be a little tedious. But that's the only other way you can do it. If you have a rounder divider or a Duchess separator, it'll be 2 kilos or 4.5 pounds. So what we do next is give it 20 minutes after you scale it off and round it up. You get your plate that you're going to round the bread on. Make sure you give it enough time so it's easy to spread out evenly. I like to put a little bit of pan spray on the bottom, because normally if you have a plate like this and there's a lot of flour on it, what happens is it won't round up. It doesn't hurt to put a little on top so it doesn't stick to the top of it. Be right back. And this is what you get. So what we're going to do today are 3 different rolls. We're going to do a knot roll. We're going to do a kind of a small bolillo, and also what they call a margarita. So starting at this spot here, we will get a board. A little bit of flour. You only need a little bit. And with the knot roll and the bolillo, we want it to sit for a little while before we make it up. So what we'll do is, for the knot roll, just give it a little bit of a roll. The idea of this is when you go to do your knot roll, if you do it now when it's real dense, you're going to end up ripping the dough, and we don't want to do that. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We'll answer them as best as possible. That's good enough for now. And for the bolillo, we want to do the same thing. We want to give it a little bit of rest time before we form it. So we can just take these just as they are, put them on a board or your bench or your table. And we always want to cover them up as you're letting them rest. That way they don't get the crust on top. The crust is actually very bad for it because then it's hard to mold and the crust gets inside and then your crumb structure is all out of whack. Okay, for the margarita, it's a different type of process. I like to use a little bit of pan spray. Just put it on your bench. And I give it a light roll and then put it into the pan spray, a little bit of oil. You can use oil as well. You'll see it's not closed all the way. You don't want it to be totally tight. And then put it on a board with a lot of flour. So a light roll, a little bit into the pan spray. Does anybody might have an idea of why we wanted oil on the bottom? If not, I'll end up having to tell you. Well, the idea is we don't want this, when it proofs, we don't want it to tighten up. We want it to stay separate. But you got to make sure that you roll it enough that when you make the roll, it doesn't just flatten out. And we'll show you the process of how to bake them off. Now the margarita is ready for the proof box, but we'll put them all in together once we're all done. We have a question. How do you prevent a crust from forming on the dough? How can you fix it if the crust forms? You prevent it by putting plastic or something over top, especially if you're in an air-conditioned place that pulls a lot of the moisture out. How do you fix it afterwards? It really depends how bad the crust is. If it's really thick, it's almost impossible. You almost have to maybe spray it with water, put it in a proof box with very high humidity and low temperature just to try and get it wet. But if it gets too far gone, it's nearly impossible. So always try to keep plastic over top of it. That way it'll keep it moist and you won't get a crust. So what we're going to do first, we're going to do the knot rolls. This is what they look like after they've sat for a little while. So we can do a simple knot roll or we can do a little bit more of a fancier knot roll. We'll start off with the fancier knot roll. So you just want to roll it out. Do like you would normally do a regular knot. then you pull the bottom in over the top, and you get a real nice formed knot. Over, under. Typical knot. Nice. What we're going to do with these, we're going to, after they proof, we're going to put our sunset glaze on it. It's a allergen-free egg wash replacer. And it gives it a really nice shine and is good under any circumstances. The sourdough, the question is, how is the sourdough flavor made for the soft grain? All of our sourdoughs are made the same way, the traditional way, the old school way. We just do it in mass production. There's usually anywhere from 24 to 72 hours of fermentation time depending on the sourdough. But we produce all our own sourdoughs, the liquid sourdoughs here in Pennsauken, and all of our dry and the authentic is produced in Belgium for now. Okay, I think you got the idea. Is there any? I'll do one again really slow. Just a regular knot. Pull it over. You get a nice dinner roll. And you'll be excited to see the finished products when they're done. Now we can do just a regular knot roll. It gives you a little bit of a play on different looks. This time we'll put some grains on them. You don't want to go as long with the regular knot because otherwise you're going to have big tails on both sides. So then you just a regular knot. This is a wet rag in there, dip, and then you have a nice topping for your rolls. What I also did for all of you is I'm working on a video that should be out soon, which does the whole process from mixing, makeup, proofing, and then baking. That should be out next week sometime. It's almost finished. What's the website? PuratosUS.com? Puratos.us. It'll be on the website. And again, you don't want these to get too far proofed, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of strength and buildup. You know, it's going to be tough for it to bake. It'll stay pretty small. Now the soft grains themselves, it's a mix of 5 grains and seeds. We have oat groats, wheat, flax seeds, millet, and sunflower seeds. That's the combination. Now we also have a variety of different soft grains. That's not the only one we have. And we have some organic. This one actually has an organic one, and clean label for the most part. We have different sprouted grains, and if there's any certain grains that you want, we can probably manufacture it for you. Okay? You have a nice looking roll. Okay, next we're going to do the bolillo. We'll put this on a fluted pan. I like using fluted pans. You can use flat as well. I like using these because it keeps a nice shape to them and keeps them separated properly. A little flour. And you just want to keep it nice and tight. If it stays nice and tight, you get a really nice roll, nice form. Oh. Okay, we want to slow it down a little bit. Again, it's just like you would do a baguette, like we showed doing the baguette before. Just keep it nice and tight, and then you kind of just seal it with your hand. Use the back of your hands on the bench, and that's where you're going to get that point. Again, very tight. You don't want to put your fingers through the dough, but you want to make sure it's tight enough. You can see where it's all the way nice and tight, but then you want to seal it. And because it's so small, you can't, bang it that way. You have to seal it with your fingers. And then you get the points. If you don't want points, then you could just keep them like this. You do enough of them, you'll get the hang of it. And even if you have 20 different rolls, they're all going to taste good. Nobody's going to argue. But if you're in production, they all have to be uniform. And there's machinery to do that as well. Okay. So next, we're ready to put everything into the proof box. The proof box should be about 95 degrees and 85% humidity, or relative humidity. Maybe 45 minutes, because they're small, 45 minutes to an hour. Again, I would check them after 45 minutes. So after they come out, then we have to do a couple things to get them ready for the oven. So here we have the margaritas. So now you're going to see why we use the oil and to keep the back open a little bit so they wouldn't close up. You can see where we're going to get a nice shred. So you just want to put them on the pan. You can put them right on the deck if you got a deck, but you got to be real careful because the amber grain has a lot of sugar in it, a lot of brown sugar and molasses, and it will have a tendency to burn quicker than a normal roll. So that's why I put them on a pan. If you're going to do it on a deck, you can still bake on the deck with the pan. Just gives you a little bit of insurance. Okay, and these can go in the oven at, I'm doing about 425 degrees for about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. This is what they're going to look like when they come out. This is why you don't have to score them or anything. They come out really nice. You get that nice opening where the bottom was just by flipping it over. And you got nice flour, nice, there's not too much on there. So it makes a very nice crusty roll. Next we will do the bolillo. So what I like to do with these, again, they're ready to go. Maybe dust a little bit of flour. Let's get this out of the way. Then they have to be scored. Again, try to do it when, if after they come out of the proof box, if they sit for a while, you get a nice slight crust on it. That's the best time to score breads. Get a sharp razor. This is a straight edge. They have the curved edges as well. Just give it one cut. You can give it two cuts if you like. It's entirely up to you. The score can be pretty, but it is functional as well because the gases need someplace to go for these breads. And with the margarita, you had that opening at the bottom. That's where the gases are going, so it didn't blow out the bottom. Okay? So then these are ready for the oven as well. Same idea, 425. 12 to 15 minutes because of the size. And this is the result. You get a nice crusty roll. Again, it looks good on a dinner table or for catering or anything like that. And you have also very nice structure. And you can see the color difference. You get a little bit of a darker color because of the molasses and the brown sugar, and also the grains. You can probably see the grains in there really well. Makes for a very nice roll. Last but not least, we're going to do the knot rolls. You can see after they were had the seeds put on there in the beginning, instead of doing it at the end, it spreads out really nice as they proof up. That way you're not going to try and put handfuls on at a time. This way it's still nice and even, but you get a little different look each time. And again, with the plain ones, if you want to get like the egg shiny look to it, and you have allergens to eggs, we have Sunset Glaze. Liquid egg wash substitute. It's a great product. It does a ridiculously good job. So just want to spray them before baking. Now with the other two rolls, we use steam also in the oven. When you apply the sunset glaze like you would with egg wash, you really don't want to put steam in there because it'll dilute the product itself. And again, they're baked at the same temperatures. The RTU sponge can be diluted up to 30%. I like using it straight. So you see where you get the really nice universal look with the grains. Makes for a very nice roll, and you see a really nice shine with the sunset glaze. And again, you have a variety all with the same recipe. Okay, do we have any other questions or comments? Again, if you'd like to see how to mix the dough in more detail, we're going to have a video that you can find on Instagram, our Instagram page at Puratos.us. Please follow Puratos US on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to keep track of future Instagram live feeds or our MyLink platform for digital services. And again, if there's any questions, we're here for you. Okay, please be safe. Take care.